On talking through love with an opposite gender friend while remaining just friends. Today is Friday, 27th of February, 2026, and here I, Tanis of Seattle, reflect on my experience talking through love with an opposite gender friend, non-family member, while remaining just friends in the 2010s decade when I was in my mid-20s. This is one of those ones where I'm like, I now feel like I'm ready to move in with my soulmate, because I think it would be a little bit more straightforward with my soulmate. I may or may not have been without this friend. However, now that I've done this with a friend and understand it's quite, it can be a bit quite internal transformation, painful type of process, in terms of like parsing out what to say and not to say to a friend because they're not my soulmate. And that kind of thing, I'd say, and perhaps that's the biggest takeaway. So this is part of my broaching soulmate residency and ruminating about surnames, projects, and is like I'm ready to move in with my Jacob Elordi, my Josh Kerr. You know, there's my soulmates, and it's also kind of my own life experience. Well, it was, but I'd say in doing this, so we didn't ever get to be more than just friends. And it was one we talked through for a number of years too, and there was big development. Like we would have phone calls that would be over, get cut off because we hit the 4-hour limit. Like I learned that I had an iPhone, and that if it hit 4 hours, it would actually end the call. And so like, but it would just like we'd talk through love and what it means to love, but in like a relationship sense, but also in a family sense and a friendship sense. And I think perhaps the biggest thing was we both ended up, we were particularly shocked once we kind of like got there and talking to each other. We'd write stuff down to talk to each other and be like, I think this is what I'm trying to say, and then we'd read it to each other. But we'd each do it. So it was a really interesting kind of procedure in terms of there was a handwritten, like not a script, but like I'm just trying to work through this and what is the right thing to say and what am I trying to say. And it would say the communication or communicative development that we each went through was so worthwhile. And it was so worthwhile thinking about what is okay to say? What would be overstepping bounds? How do I develop a sense for if I'm approaching a boundary, whether like it's a personal boundary, like a social boundary, like a soulmate boundary, and how do I develop a sense for that even just in speaking or like figuring out what I should say? And so it was a very, it was a very painstaking few years of communication there where I took deliberate hours, on the weekly time frame for hours at a time, phone calls, kind of thing, where it'd be, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I trying to say? How do I communicate that? I have a lot going on. How can I parse it down, trim it down, make it concise? Can I make it concise? What's okay to be like, but I don't know, that kind of stuff. And what should I like? What is out of bounds because I should discuss it with my soulmate and stuff like that. So I'd say I'm talking through love with an opposite gender friend while remaining just friends. My sexual orientation is asexual. So I'd say for me, it was like so worthwhile. I'd recommend it. Okay. I haven't had a boyfriend even though I'm married, kind of thing. So I would recommend it kind of, and again here, opposite gender friend is non-family member. So somebody where it really takes effort to figure out how to communicate. I really do think it made me a better communicator, if nothing else, even though it was like my own choosing and that person choosing and our choosing to work through it together. It was very much I'd say very much I exited that kind of phase of much better communicator than I was before. So that's on talking through love with an opposite gender friend while remaining just friends.